And welcome back. One of the cool things about Saturday morning is always talking to our auto man, Brian Bowersock. And Brian, the cool thing that you always preach is about prevention. Today
Absolutely.
we're talking about fuel pumps.
Correct.
And there's ways that, I don't know if you can make them prolong, but there's certainly ways that you can make them to get you where you need to go so you can get them fixed.
And prolong's a good way to say it. And there's a very simple thing that you can do that most folks don't do to extend the life of your fuel pump. And the reason why you want to do that is most of these fuel pumps, as you can see here, these are later model fuel pumps for later model cars. They're not cheap to replace.
No.
Number one, they're in the fuel tank, so the fuel tank has to be removed to replace them. Number two, they're considered fuel modules. They have the sending unit and all kinds of other things incorporated in them, so you replace the whole module itself. But the way to keep these fuel pumps alive longer, can you take a guess?
Yes.
Well, that's one. There's two ways. You're right. So that was a great guess. Number one, change the fuel filter. Usually about
change
every
the fuel filter. Yep.
30,000 miles. The reason why is the fuel filter plugs up with sediment, and the pump has to push harder to push the fuel through it. And in short order, it can shorten the life of the fuel pump. The second thing is, you know what cools a fuel pump in the tank?
Tell me.
Take a guess. What's it submerged in?
Gas.
Gasoline.
Thank
okay.
you.
So if you're one of these people that run
gas.
if you're one of these people that put $5 in and to put $5 in and you're always on E all the time, you're actually doing a lot of detrimental damage to the fuel pump. The reason why is fuel actually covers this, and the fuel helps cool the pump all the time. And if it's extremely low, it's not cooling the pump. Therefore, you end up burning up the windings in it, the bushings wear out, things like that. So it's very important to keep like a half a tank in the car or more. So I often tell people, get down to a quarter, fill it up. Don't run it really low. And it will help extend the life of the fuel pump. And often you can get 200,000-300,000 miles out of a fuel pump versus 100,000 out of one that you don't keep the fuel in the car.
You know, in the Midwest, we always kept our cars full all the way to the brim, all the way to the top. Even after a day, you just go in and you just fill up all the time.
Well, and that helps extend the life of the fuel pump. That also is because you never know what kind of weather you're going to run into, and you might need the fuel, but for sure. So basically it comes down to replacing the fuel filter when recommended by the manufacturer, usually around 30,000 miles, and then also keeping fuel in the vehicle will really extend the life and keep you from having to replace one of these pumps, which are not cheap to do. We can run anywhere from $500 to $1,500 depending on the make, model, vehicle, and what you got going on. So yeah, the old days of the very old fuel pump, which was bolted on the side of the motor, they're long gone.
All righty, our auto man, Brian Bowersock. Thank you so much for coming in once again, buddy.
As always,
All
glad to be here to help you out.
Hey, coming up, game 4 of the